At first glance, Tyranny looks a lot like the last RPG from developer Obsidian, the excellent Pillars of Eternity. But where Pillars deliberately clung to the traditions of RPGs past, Tyranny surprises again and again with numerous thoughtful improvements that make it consistently enjoyable and replayable. One of Tyranny's best selling points is its lore, which centers on a civilization on the cusp of the Iron Age, where an evil overlord is weeding out the last bits of resistance. It works so well because even though you're cast as an arbiter who must enforce his laws, that doesn't necessarily mean you're evil. Instead, you're forced to live within this world and survive according to its rules. Tyranny thus usually tends to avoid slipping into caricature by focusing on the quieter and more dangerous evils of bureaucracy and cold efficiency rather than exaggeration. Most of the time, it's a brand of evil that feels real. The lore here is rich and fascinating too. It's hugely text-heavy, but the writing seldom seems overindulgent, and there are an impressive number of key scenes that enjoy extensive and decent voice acting.
Did the voices of Nurat send you to gather my head and complete his collection?
Tyranny handles meaningful choices far more effectively than many of its peers. There's an overall arc that causes some inevitable sharing of locations with each playthrough, but Tyranny minimizes this with a choose-your-own-adventure style prologue that determines what you are doing during the region's conquest. The effects of decisions made here pop up again and again in rewarding ways, whether through locations that change appearances or dialogue options recounting your deeds. Choice plays into Tyranny so heavily, in fact, that it even affects combat skills that can only be unlocked through reputation gains with various factions. That design sometimes conflicted with my role-playing though, because I found myself sometimes steering my responses toward reactions I thought would eventually unlock skills I wanted, rather than my gut feelings. But in almost everything it does, Tyranny enjoys a tight focus that helps maintain a pace and sense of purpose Pillars of Eternity never had. It's evident in the limit of 4 characters per party, which encourages focusing on specific roles while allowing each hero some wiggle room through an open-ended skill leveling system based on how often each skill is used. The pausable real-time combat itself is blessedly intuitive and has good animations, along with great features such as cooperative attacks between 2 heroes or a spellcrafting system using components found in the world. It could benefit from better enemy and encounter variety, but it is rarely unnecessarily punishing. The first major quest arc kicks off with a timer that could end with the death of you and everyone met in the story until that point, and then some, which injects an early sense of urgency that forced me to prioritize some quests over others. That urgency never entirely lets up, because Tyranny is smartly designed to put you through roughly 24 hours of highly replayable core mission gameplay, rather than bloating its world with content for the sake of content. While this may be an evil world, it's also a good-looking one. Whether it's in the character models, the environments, or the hand-illustrated cutscenes sandwiching key moments of the story, Tyranny usually has something cool to show you. Considerable thought went into crafting those environments too, because they're stuffed with little skill checks that allow parties to, say, balance on a rope across a broken bridge if their athletic stat is high enough. There's even a multi-building stronghold system that makes sense within the story and provides bonuses such as faster travel times. Tyranny is a memorable RPG that looks great and feels fresh, even while largely working in the confines of the old Infinity Engine style. It's also the rare, sprawling RPG that invites you to replay it, as its comparatively short running time and significant changes based on choice greatly change the experience from playthrough to playthrough, and combat satisfies despite a mediocre variety of enemy types. With Tyranny, the old feels new again. For more on Tyranny, stick with us here at IGN.